There's a locker at Royal Birkdale that won't have his name on it this year. Not withdrawn. Not injured. Empty. For the first time since 1990, Phil Mickelson will not play in a single major championship in a calendar year. And for months, as 3 separate clubs, 2 named accusers, and a golf media firestorm closed in around him, Mickelson said nothing. Then, in early July, he finally did. What he said didn't calm the storm. Confirmed there was one. This is not a rumor anymore. No leaks, no anonymous sources, no sources say. This time, it's his own spokesperson, his own attorney, his own words on the record. And once you hear exactly what those words do and don't say, you'll understand why the PGA Tour, LIV Golf, and golf's entire ecosystem of sponsors are scrambling at the same time. So before we get into it, do you think a statement like this settles a scandal, or does it usually confirm one? Drop your take in the comments and subscribe, because what his own camp admitted next is the part nobody saw coming. To understand why this statement landed so hard, you have to remember what came before it. Back in June, Golf Digest reported that Mickelson's decades-long membership at the Farms, a private club near his San Diego home, had been quietly revoked following accusations from a female employee about inappropriate physical contact. Weeks later, veteran golf writer Alan Shipnuck published a much larger investigation for Scratch, alleging Mickelson was no longer welcome at 2 additional California clubs, and detailing a 2015 incident involving Ashley Perez, at the time married to fellow Tour pro Pat Perez. Perez said Mickelson showed her an explicit photo of himself at dinner and told her which night to find him. A second woman told Shipnuck a separate encounter with Mickelson left her feeling degraded. For weeks, Mickelson's camp responded only through short, careful denials relayed to reporters. The man himself stayed silent. He skipped the Masters. He skipped the PGA Championship. He skipped the US Open. Every time his name came up in a field list, it disappeared again within hours. The explanation offered was always the same 3 words: a family matter. Nobody challenged it publicly. Nobody had a reason to. Then July arrived, and for the first time, Phil Mickelson stopped letting other people speak for him. Here's what he actually said. Mickelson's statement didn't deny an investigation happened. It didn't deny he left the Farms. What it did was call the reporting false and sinister, and go further than anyone expected by defending his wife directly. Amy, the statement said, is not a public figure and did not choose the spotlight. It argued there was no legitimate journalistic reason to involve her at all. That single sentence told you exactly where the real pressure point was. Not the golf. Not the clubs. Amy. Because buried inside Shipnuck's reporting was a detail that had nothing to do with any woman, any club, or any photo. It was about a location-sharing app. A Find My feature, the kind millions of families use every day to track each other's phones. Shipnuck's reporting suggested Amy had used it to track Mickelson's movements, and that it played a role in more than one of his sudden club departures. Mickelson's team called that portrayal sinister and false, insisting he had never been forced by his wife to do anything. Notice the wording. Not, there was no tracking. Not, the story is fabricated. Just, he was never forced. That's a very specific denial, and specific denials usually mean something specific happened. Scratch didn't back down either. Its response was blunt. Amy Mickelson, they said, is absolutely a public figure, pointing to her role running the Amy and Phil Mickelson Charitable Foundation, a well-documented, widely promoted initiative with her name on it. 2 camps, 2 flatly opposite claims about whether a private citizen was fair game. And somewhere in the middle of that argument, the actual allegations against Phil Mickelson barely got mentioned at all. That's worth sitting with for a second. When the fight shifts from, did this happen, to, was it okay to report on my wife? The accusations themselves haven't been answered. They've been buried under a different argument entirely. Ask yourself, if the claims were as baseless as his camp says, wouldn't the easiest response be to just say so plainly one time? Instead, we got a statement about journalistic ethics and a family app. His attorney, Tom Clare, one of the most recognized defamation lawyers in the country, added his own layer. Clare's statement said Mickelson's full attention right now is on becoming the husband, father, and man his family deserves, and that his focus is a private family health matter. It's the same phrase his camp used back in February when he first started missing tournaments. 5 months later, it's still the only explanation on record, running in parallel with a defamation warning aimed at anyone still asking questions. A family matter and a legal threat delivered in the same breath, is not a new play in the celebrity crisis response book. It usually means the family matter is real, but it isn't the whole story, and the legal threat is there to keep anyone from finding out how much of it isn't. So 3 months of silence, one statement, and what actually changed? Nothing in dispute got resolved. His camp maintains he was never expelled, never forced out, that every departure was his own choice. Scratch and Golf Digest maintain their reporting stands, sourced by multiple people at multiple clubs. Ashley Perez's attorney fired back publicly too, saying Mickelson was attacking his client instead of addressing the evidence against him. Evidence they say will speak for itself when the time comes. Neither side has produced anything more since. No footage, no retraction, no new witness stepping forward to contradict the reporting. Just a standoff, frozen exactly where it was in June, except now with lawyers formally in the room. Meanwhile, the part of the story that actually is measurable, the part nobody's disputing, keeps getting worse. Missing every major in a single year hasn't happened to Mickelson since before some of his fans were born. He skipped the Masters in April. He skipped the PGA Championship in May. He skipped the US Open in June. And now he's confirmed out of the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale, the tournament where he lifted the claret jug back in 2013. For majors, 0 appearances, 1 calendar year. That has not happened across his entire professional career until now. Not during the SEC stock trading investigation in 2016. Not during the gambling revelations. Not even during the LIV fallout in 2022, when public comments calling the league's Saudi backers scary, with a horrible record on human rights, cost him nearly every sponsor he had overnight and still only cost him 2 majors, not 4. That LIV fallout is worth remembering here because it's the closest precedent to what's happening now, and it shows exactly how fast Mickelson's protection can disappear once his own words are the problem. When his comments to writer Alan Shipnuck went public in 2022, it wasn't a leak. It was Mickelson, in his own voice, describing exactly why he was willing to work with people he called dangerous. Sponsors like KPMG and Workday walked within days. The PGA of America publicly wished him well while making clear the door had closed. He signed with LIV anyway for a reported $200 million and became the league's most visible face. For years later, the deal that was supposed to be his soft landing is now the thing burning down around him too. Because LIV Golf isn't stable ground to stand on anymore. Reports throughout this year indicate Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is pulling its financial backing at the end of the 2026 season, after losses reported in the billions. Mickelson, the league's own poster boy, has barely addressed it publicly, choosing instead to spend his rare public statements this year arguing with California's Attorney General about gas prices. Rather than the collapse of the tour, he sacrificed his PGA Tour career to help build. Whether that silence on LIV's future is strategic or just avoidance, the result reads the same either way. The one place that fully welcomed him after 2022 is now disappearing out from under him at the exact moment his personal reputation needs it most. Ask yourself what that means. A man who has spent 30 years as one of the most protected figures in professional sports is now watching every single institution that used to shield him go quiet or walk away at the same time. Not one. All of them together in the same year, and through every headline, one person has said almost nothing at all. Amy Mickelson has not spoken publicly on any of it, not the club allegations, not the Perez account, not the tracking claims, not her husband's defense of her. Her last public appearance tied to golf was the 2021 Ryder Cup, nearly 5 years ago. Her only voice in this entire saga has come through a spokesperson, defending her right to privacy rather than addressing anything alleged about her marriage. That silence could mean exactly what it appears to mean, a private person being dragged unwillingly into her husband's professional collapse. Or it could mean something closer to what Scratch is implying, a spouse far more entangled in the last decade of decisions than the private family health matter framing lets on. Both readings fit the same set of facts. Neither one has been ruled out. So where does this actually leave things? The allegations from the farms remain unresolved. No police report, no criminal case, denial on one side and silence on the specifics from the other. The Scratch allegations remain contested too, with evidence promised but not yet produced by anyone. But look at what nobody is arguing about anymore. The membership at the farms is gone. The display honoring his career there is gone. The sponsors who built entire campaigns around his image are gone. Every major this year happened without him. and the league he burned his old career down to join is running out of money to keep him. Fame protected Phil Mickelson for 3 decades. It took 2 investigations, 1 statement, and a single missing photograph on a clubhouse wall to show exactly how far that protection actually went once it stopped being automatic. So here's what I want to know. When you first heard Mickelson's name attached to any of this, back in June, did you believe it, or did you assume it would blow over the way everything else always had? Tell me in the comments, and tell me where you're watching from, because I want to see how far this one's actually traveling. And if you made it this far, hit subscribe because his attorney just promised more legal action is coming, and Scratch just promised more evidence is coming too. Whichever one arrives first, this story isn't close to finished.